Okay. We're here in living color. It's actually, we're just a tad bit early. It's 8:58 a.m. and it's Tuesday, August 27th, as you can see on the my doodad over here with the red August 27. And in a few days it's going to be July, August, September 9th is going to be the announcement, the show. Invitations have already been sent to the special people, self not included, to go to Cupertino, California, to participate, to view, to see, hear personally the announcement of iPhone 16. We have iPhone 15, and if you look, let's make this, producers, make this full screen. There we go. Hello. Here's my hot tea, warm tea at the moment. Yeah, I've gotten on a warm tea kick. I use half the sugar, 1 teaspoon of sugar instead of 2. I need 2 in coffee, but I only need 1 in hot tea. So hot tea's a good thing. It's a mixture, it's a special blend, actually, which I won't go into now because I don't remember the names. They're fancy names. The teas are from India and England. India and England. England is big into teas for some reason or other. They, India and England go back, thousands of years. Because remember, that part of the world, meaning Europe, was the center, Jerusalem and England and all that were, 2,000-year special events. When I was studying biochemistry, to be a biochemist, you had to take, for a liberal arts education, as defined by, the board of directors of the universities, colleges and universities all over the country. I had to take, social studies kinds of classes. Like ancient Egypt language, or I took a class in Old Testament history. How about that? I mean, I walked in the room and lightning started to strike. Yes, sir. I'm like, I wasn't an atheist, but, I was not one of these, Mommy, do I really have to go to church? I whined so bad, my mother finally gave up. And so by the time I was 8 or 9 years old, she said, the hell with it. I'm sure you don't want to go. Yeah, what the heck. I'll not go to. So that was the end of that. Anyway, so when I was in college, studying to be some kind of a scientist, some kind of science anything. Yeah. That's, look at that. You can see my fancy whoops my fancy iPhone functioning as a timer to show we've been on the air 5 minutes and 49 seconds. 5 minutes and 54, 55, 56, 57, 58. And this is tenths of a second, in case you were going to go frame by frame over this video presentation. This is a simulcast. You can look up on the banner up on the top of your screen. I can see it on my control center here. Welcome to Jim Wilson's live simulcast, broadcasting several social networks simultaneously. I think I'm missing a preposition or something in there. Broadcasting by, on, several, something. Social networks simultaneously. YouTube Live at FAU4U, with the number 4, that is. Facebook Live at FAU4U, the same handle, different network. And Twitter Live, Jim W. 5596. So what's the magic about 5596, one would ask? Well, if you had an old-fashioned push-button phone, and you have A, B, C, D, E, F, on the keypad. 559 is JLW, and the 6 is M for Maryland. That's how I come up with 5596. If you look at the dial pad of an old phone, where they have A, B, C, D, E, F, H, I, J, K, L, M. No, 5 corresponds to the letter J. 55, JL. 9, which the letter W is on the keypad 9 position. And 6 is M. 5596. JLWM. That's how I get to 5596. I know, it's kind of strange. You can text message me during this broadcast at 561-416-1100. You can even call that number. And my phone will ring right here. This is my phone, my iPhone 15, which is about to go bye-bye. On Monday, September 9th, Apple will be delivering their speech at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you happen to be at the event, better get up early. You drive right into that huge, big, and the event is held right in the smack in the middle. They have like a studio that's right underneath, and it has underneath, passageways, tunnels, tram rides. It's a very high-tech facility, but it is upwards of a 3. That's the number 1, 2, 3 trillion with a T. $3 trillion company, which means if you took all the outstanding shares and multiplied it by the value of the shares trading on the New York Stock Exchange, which is probably somewhere $200 plus or minus 20. I actually, I don't actually know the share price at the moment. Maybe it's 190, 186, whatever. You can look it up. The stock market hasn't opened yet this morning. Anyway, if you multiply, let's just say 200 for round numbers. So if you multiply the dollar value of the shares by the number of outstanding shares. That's how you get to 3 trillion. Now maybe the stock price has to be over 200, to get to 3 trillion. I don't actually remember that, but that's how they do it. Not that every single share of Apple would trade in the same day, moment, or whatever, but that's how they get to 3 trillion. Pretty big number. I don't know. I love Apple products. I'm not that much involved with Apple. Half the country is Democrats, the other half are Republicans, and you're in California, so they're probably a bunch of Democrats in Apple. But who cares? I don't care. They make unbelievable products. My whole studio here is basically, except for the soundboard over here, right over here with these buttons, that's my yes, sir. That is all part of my electronic thing here. Oh, crickets. Yeah. It's so much fun. Yeah. What was that sound you heard? Yeah, I have like 5 or 6 sound effects over here. There's an alarm in the building. There's an alarm in the building. Everybody run for cover. Yeah, I know. That's playing around here just to show you that this soundboard is... See, I can push this button right here. I have to bring this lever up here and push this button right here. You see that little button right there? It looks, a light color of, like purple, maybe. It looks kind of like green on the screen here, but depending on your video device, in live color here, it looks very light purple to me. Yep. Okay, no more of that. Come on, Jimmy. Grow up. So the soundboard is really quite amazing. I'm really very interested in the way it works. But it works. And it's the Rode, R-O-D-E, O with the what you call drawn through the O from upper left to lower right. That O. Rodecaster, one word. Rodecaster Pro, Roman numeral 2. There was a Rodecaster Pro without the Roman numeral 2, which was the original Rodecaster. They sell for about $600. From especially, from like B&H Photo in New York City, and other fine companies all over the planet. B&H sells everything electronic and photographic, and there are a number of outlets in New York City. I like New York City because they're, when I buy my photographic equipment and lenses and so forth, New York City is the place. Yep. One reason I like the place is they don't mess around with you. They got a bunch. It's a Jewish owned, and most of the salespeople are Jewish, I think. Abraham is a big name for people in there. Yeah. Philip, Abraham, you know, Isaiah, you know, Isaac. But the nice thing about it is when you buy something from them, it is factory fresh, because they sell. There are a lot of people that buy, you know, B&H, B, the ampersand sign, B and H, Bernstein and Horowitz, something like that. B&H photo and video. So they have big screen TVs, they got iPads, iPads, iPhones, you name it. MacBooks, MacBook Pros, Canon equipment, Nikon equipment, Canon lenses, Nikon lenses, the lithium-ion batteries, I mean everything, you know, filters, in-lens filters, on-lens filters, you know. They got we've got everything. You know, we've got 2 Canon R1s and one Canon R5. So you know, that's 2, 4, and 4 and 5 is 9. So that's $9,000 just in 3 cameras. I've got you know, so we are mirrorless camera people. No more mirror flapping, you know, so when you shoot fast, this thing is flapping up and down. No more of that. Electronic shutter. There is a focal plane shutter that goes across the imager, so you have you know, there is a shutter, but it's not one of these, you know, iris kind of shutters. There's probably names for these things, but I kind of trying to keep it simple, stupid. Plus, I don't remember the name. I've been teaching digital photography for 20 some years, over 20 years, since the year 2000, actually. I became adjunct faculty in the university. You know, I originally started teaching in the continuing education department, and then in I'll say 1999, year 2000, somewhere in there, they did away with the continuing education. They just eliminated it. Yeah, cost, whatever. So then I had a friend of mine in the College of Science. I said, I need a, you know, I've taken a lot of graduate work, you know, I have an undergraduate degree in biology and chemistry, mostly physical chemistry, biochemistry. I want to teach digital photography. You know, that's a science thing. How about getting me, you know, adjunct faculty status in the College of Science? Can you make that happen? He said, well, of course. I'm, you know, this is John Harlan, Dr. John Harlan. Ah, yes, PhD, Dr. John Harlan. So he was the cause. He presented me to, he says, do you have your teaching, did you do teaching questionnaires, you know, where they decided whether you were any good or not? You know, it was a company, meaning an FAU requirement, that you hand out teacher evaluation forms. They can be anonymous, or you can sign your name, it doesn't matter. One per student. And tell me how I did. They'll be collected, you know, there'll be no effort in trying to figure out how I was evaluated by who. You know, it's, I'm sure I did a very fine job. You know, so I'm sure the evaluations will be positive, because all of you did really very nicely in here. It's a fun topic to teach. I mean, my God, what can be more exciting than, manipulating and digitally enhancing, a picture that you have taken. And anyway, so you all did very good. So I had a very, animated teaching style. I didn't sit behind a desk. I stood up. Even when I demonstrated some digital techniques on my computer, which was then projected onto a big screen so everybody could see what I was doing. And, presto chango, there is a beautiful image. Yeah. And then, so in a given lesson, we'd start off. Let's say we were going to, change the levels. That's with a histogram. So, all these vocabulary words, and you teach them what's going on. So I show them how to adjust levels, so that the picture looks better in case the lighting was a little ajar and it needed modification with the digital techniques, of Photoshop. We used Photoshop Express. My technology people at FAU, I said, I'm going to be teaching with Photoshop Express. On these 25 classroom computers, I need to have you install Photoshop Express in room 354 or 345. Or it's on the third floor in the Earth Sciences building. I think building 54 on the third floor. You walk around the elevators and go east as far as you can and then start walking south. I think, if I got the orientation of that correct. And the classroom was on the left side of the hallway, about halfway down. So it was 350 plus or minus 5. Yeah, it was a big room. It had, computer stations at every, and they were like 5 feet apart. So everyone had plenty of room to spread their books and their backpacks and everything. Most of the students were adult, meaning postgraduate students. Students in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I'd have some 25-year-olds in there. But not many undergraduate persons. Only because they probably didn't know the class existed. The class was known to the public by advertisements that were made by the continuing education department when they were operating. The lady that was in charge of Jimmy, I was assigned to somebody. The lady that was in charge of Jimmy, wrote this beautiful story, and she had a friend, in the Sun Sentinel. And she just sent this right to him, and bam, I was like, front page in the, the lifestyle living section of the Saturday newspaper. Oh my God, the phone was ringing off the hook with people registering for the class. And some people just went online and did it, from the instructions on the advertisement. So, they wrote it, a story. She submitted it to somebody that she knew in the Sun Sentinel. I don't know who that was. Oh, darn it. Because that person would really come up with some great, just had, knew someone in the Sun Sentinel, and then those stories were, and when you get a 5-inch by 5-inch, ad, oh my God. Woo! The size of this trackpad. 4 by 6, something like that. That size story. Not a half page, a little less than a quarter page. you can imagine what a quarter page of a newspaper is. So, this black thingy was the page. It would be, it's a good sized story. And headlines, and and then we finally got a little fancy. I'd send them a picture of what the classroom looked like, with the students in it, and boy, they'd put that in there. There would be a 4x7 inch. It was great. But when I shut down the College of Education, I kind of lost contact with, because I didn't do it. I was busy doing other things. Someone else did it. The continuing education, the wife of the dean of the College of Education. I know it was that person. Who's since retired and all this stuff, but that was who the continuing education person that was assigned to Jimmy. So she was in charge of Jimmy. Nice lady. Happened to be the wife of the dean of the College of Education. I said, why don't you talk to your hubby about Jimmy? Because you know a little bit about me, because you've been managing me. I'm one of your, assignees. Why don't you tell him about what I do, and maybe he'd like me to take pictures of the next time he has some kind of an event in the College of Education. She said, oh, great idea, I'll do that right away. And bam, my email rings up with the dean of the college. He said, I would like to visit with you to talk about, where we have an event in the College of Education. It's a 3-day event, all day. And 3 days, different speakers and different things. I'd like you, can you photograph that for us? I said, okay, what's my budget? That's another way of saying, how much you going to pay me? I say, what's your budget? He'd say, well, how about, would $2,500 for 3 days, would that work? I said, yes, book it. We'll do that. I'll photograph it myself with the finest Canon digital equipment. We'll post the images on my internationally known website. And that's what I did. It was great. Oh boy. I can show it to you if you're interested. Let's see if we can do it real fast here on this. See, there's a little, you see right here? You see this little logo thing with a camera? It looks like this right here. You see where my left finger is wiggling? All right, now let's go over to this screen. And I can't reverse pinch these pages. The Apple operating system doesn't allow it, but this, here, I know what I can do. Producer, make that full screen. There we go. Remember, it's me, myself, and I. Here we go. See, so I'm wiggling it. See that right there? See Wilson Picks? We're going to just tap that logo, and bam! The world of internet takes me right. Health and Wellness creates great images. Yes, it does. That's the name of my site. 416-1100.com. Guess what that is? That's my phone number. You can make that a web address. 416.1100@gmail.com. That's my email address. I use the same numbers. Now you see this beautiful young lady right there? FAU events. Look at the bowl of apples. Is that College of Education or what? This big ballroom kind of thing. And there we go. FAU Literacy and Education. Okay. Literacy and Education. There it is. This is the event I photographed in February of 2004. See, I told you I was telling the truth. Because 2003, I became adjunct faculty, and the husband of the lady that was managing Jimmy happened to be the dean of the College of Education. What? How about that? You know, a friend of mine had an expression: the opposite of network is no work. So if you want to work, network. Going positive, the opposite of network is no work. Remember that. Anyway, literacy and education. There. Whoops. My fingers are a little dry. Next steps for university partners in 2004. FAU.edu/LIT for literature. Wonder if that page is still operating. All right. Anyway, there's that. I mean, is that the cutest young person you've ever seen? Yeah, I couldn't not take that picture. I was standing I remember where I was kneeling on this big floor. She was about, I'd say 30 feet. I don't know why this did that. How do I get out of here? Let's go back. There we go. Let's reverse pinch. I got too excited about that one. Oops. Ooh, that's expando, a little beyond recognition. Let's go back. There we go. I reverse pinched too much. Let's go back a little bit more. There we go. So here's the event. There you go. Now you can see all these pictures. I leaned over this person. Look at that. How cool is that, huh? Yeah, that's Jimmy. That is the former president of Florida Atlantic University. He was the lieutenant governor of the state of Florida. I'll let you figure out who it is. And they, you know, they had the National Guard walking through. Boy. Maybe that's the dean of the College of Education. Looks like it could be, huh? I should know. This is some other guy. That was another speaker. Let's see if we can reverse pinch. Last name on the name badge there. Let me get real close and see if I can. McFadden. Her name is McFadden. This is one of the educators. I mean, they brought in teachers from all over, you know, Broward County, Dade County, you know, Palm Beach County. Educators from all over South Florida. Maybe they flew in also. Probably. This is looking at the diamond earring she's got in her ear. It looks like about a carat and a half diamond in there. She's, a serious educator. There's another guy. Steve. I don't want to reverse pinch because, I tried to do that and it went to Bipsic on the side here. So, and you can see this lady over here, she's looking over at this guy and I'm taking a shot right this way. And yeah, it was pretty, I tried to do a real good job because the wife, the dean, it was the first time working for the College of Education. FAU is a 30,000 student institution. Big buildings, lots of bureaucracy. So when you have a connection to the dean of one of the 9, 10, 12 colleges like the College of Science, the College of Education, the College of mathematics, mathematicians. I don't know what they call the math college. I know the College of Science. Anyway, so you got 4, 5, 6, 9 of them. I don't know exactly how many, but when you got a connection with the deans, which is the head dog, the main chair, they call it in educational circles. Who is in the chair? That's a nice way of saying who's in the throne. They really mean throne, but they say chair. Yeah, see this guy? Reserved. That's his seat. I'm looking over his shoulder. He's looking at the agenda. 2-page agenda. 5 to 9 to 10 we have this, and 10 to 11 we have that, and then they have and who's doing the speaking. And that's page 1, that's page 2. It's 2 or 3 pages. That's for today, or that day in February. See, literacy and education. Yeah, it's in blue. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the digital lenses are very, so I focused on that. So, because we're not interested in the guy's ear, actually, but we're looking over his shoulder, without disturbing him. So there's when they serve lunch, so that's a luncheon plate. So they got the little cookies and the grapes and the apple, but big bowl, white bowl with apples in it. That's education, right? Everyone goes to school and gives the teacher an apple. I mean, that's, education and apples that goes hand in hand. And there's a nice little bread thing. I mean, they have incredible catering facilities at a major institution. So it was a very nice luncheon. Everyone enjoyed, do you want chicken, salmon, or whatever? There's another educator. Probably going to the College of Education. They have the arm, the neck things with the identification things. Let me get one off the door here. You're going to be bumbling around here. There we go. Let's get. There it is. Yeah. I have there's my credentials right here. You see? Press pass, media. I've got, a QRC code on there. Valid until permanent. So this is I put this around my neck, and this is how I get into events. I'll just hang that right there. Yeah, that hangs nicely right there. Okay. So she's got something hanging around her, and it's probably, something this size that connects onto a hook, which admits her in through security to get into this. I mean, it's cost like $2,000 a person for 3 days. So, that's $666.66 per day times 3 days. Do the math. 2,000. Yep. So every person paid. Look at that. Uniball. The pen was laying down. See, I got a picture of a pen and a half a page of notes, and then there's a pair of glasses. I mean, is that education or what? I mean, I tried to take. I'm not. I'm a scientist. I don't know anything about education. Look at that. He's nice mustaches and nice tie. He looks like one of the speakers, maybe. He's probably some high-level dignitary at FAU. Look at this. He's contemplating with pen in hand. His arm. He's obviously got a very sophisticated notepad thing with all those. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's at least 7. Holding that paper. Yeah, very nice. It's like his daily calendar, and he's open to the day, February whatever. Yep. Nice tie. You can see the neck band there. He's got the educator-looking glasses. I mean, these people could be, head of the English department and, in a 2,500 student, high school. Or, a lot of these people at this event, at $2,000 a seat, it's not it's not for the general population of the undergraduates, because they probably don't have, maybe they made a deal, for 20 students. See, there's a guy. He's giving a presentation. You can see he's behind the podium. You can't see the microphone because it's behind his arm there. He's talking to the participants, animated with his hands. Oh, look at this. An adoring, interested, very attractive, by the way. Oh, look at those eyes. Beautiful blue eyes. And she's adoring and interested in what is going on. I think she was one of the speakers. She could have come down from, the education, department in Tallahassee. I think she was an out-of-town lady. I was not introduced to a lot of these people. I would go up to them, and chit-chat with them. Look at that, he's cutting up, whatever that is. And this lady is mashing the potatoes. It's really great. I mean, I went behind the scenes and tried to get. Look at this guy. He looks like someone that came down from Washington. Doesn't he have that Washington, D.C.? Maybe Tallahassee. We could reverse pinch his name badge. He's let's see. It could be Palm Beach County, executive. He's got a little, a doodad on his name badge. Yeah. You see that raised thing with a little gold around it? Yeah, this guy's a serious person. They're all serious. Reed, look at that. With diamonds and everything. She's obviously a very senior educator. Jane Brown or John Doe? No, can't be John Doe. Jane Doe. Jane Roth, maybe. Looks like or R-O-W-E. It's hard to see. Anyway. But it looks like no, I don't know what that logo is. But maybe the College of Education logo. This is probably a name badge issued by the FAU Department of Education. Look at this guy. He's animated and talking. Yeah. These people are very interested in what they're doing. That's for sure. Now there I used a little flash because the lighting was goofy and, in the back corner of the room or something. Profile of an educator. These two were being recognized for something. Their name badges, and there's a little logo on her left lapel, and the name badge that's like stuck on her jacket instead of something around her neck. Yep. They may be FAU educators, so they didn't need a neckband, and of course they didn't throw it around the governor. He was not the governor, what do you call it, the president of the university. Yeah, he was the lieutenant governor of the state of Florida, and he became the president of FAU, and he was there for 4 or 5 years. And it's a state university, and there are like 5 or 6 state universities in Florida, and then they have the College of Regents, which is like a big committee a bureaucracy, big committee, and they kicked him upstairs into Tallahassee. So he's on the Board of Regents, where he looks over with, several other, senior educator types. So he went from lieutenant governor to president of a 30,000 student university, and then got kicked upstairs into the Board of Regents that controls, manages, supervises, from a bureaucracy standpoint, the 6 or 7 Florida, like University of Florida, Florida Atlantic University, University of South Florida, which I think is actually in Tampa. Anyway, so there are, 5 or 6 universities in Florida teaching, hundreds of thousands of students. Yep. So we're just paging through. Oh, they had a little. This is one of the ballrooms. They were being serenaded by these flautists, and there you go. See, there's the president of the university and the wife, right smack in the middle there, with her hands down in front of her, clasped together. And then a whole bunch of, this is actually that's their house. That's the main entryway for the residence of the president of Florida Atlantic University. See, everyone's got a name badge except for those two. Yep, because everyone knows who he is. I had a call. I got to know him pretty well. This is. There we go. Look at that. She's got her 3-ring binder and she's taking notes and paying attention. Oh, look at that. The fruits and veggies and the sliced turkey. I think this is the reception at the president's house. So they don't mess around when it comes to, dining, wining and dining and having a cocktail party. I think this is an evening cocktail party at the president's house. And see, there's an FAU person with her name on there, which I can't read. I mean, this was 2004. This is 2024. This was 20 years ago. Can you believe it? I remember doing it. Yes, I do. This is at the president's house. This is one of the events, part of the College of Education thing, and they had a special party for the special dignitaries that came into town to visit with the College of Education. And see, they're checking in at the check-in point. This lady's got looks like she's got a pen, her green pen attached to her ticket, to get her into this event. There's a little flash photography. Yeah, look at that. Oh, see, there's the dean, I believe, of the College of Education. He's got an FAU pin on his left lapel. Look at that. Everyone is very interested in what's going on. This is back to the reception. I'm paging through these photographs. Yeah, there we go. They gave this guy, the second guy from the left there, he's holding a trophy. And the guy, I guess the 3 middle people, they all got a trophy. 1, 2, the fourth guy, his trophy is straight up and down, right in line with his tie. And he has his hands open with the... So, since it's one of those translucent glass or whatever, kind of an engraved trophy with a stand, he just looks like he has his hands cupped. But there's a trophy in those hands. Look at that, and you have the president of the university way over on the right side. And the gentleman all the way over on the left side, the tallest gentleman, I don't know who he is. Everyone knew who he was when I took the picture. On the actual portfolio of the picture, there may be a caption that has all the names. I got all the names left to right, and my camera had a special feature on it where you could push a button on the side of the camera and say, from left to right, we have Dr. Noble, Dr. James, Dr. Wilson, Dr. Lawrence, so forth. You could just talk into the camera, and a little audio file would be attached in the header to the picture. So then when you got back to the laboratory where you're going through the pictures, you could play back that audio file and you could hear Dr. James, Dr. Lawrence, Dr. Wilson, Dr. Harlan. Yeah. And then you type that out into the caption of the photo. And then that would be attached to that would stay with the photo no matter where it went. Because it was in the header of the file, which was on every picture. Just imagine you have your digital picture, and on the very top quarter inch of the picture, not visible with regular means of looking at a photo, is called a header. And the header has the number of the picture. It could be an 8-digit hexadecimal number, almost like a serial number you see on an Apple device. So each picture has a unique number. Then it may be the number of the photos in this gallery, which I took 300 or 400 shots, 700, 800 shots. I don't know how many pictures are in this. You had to get creative in taking pictures like this. When you're one person, running around a room, trying not to disturb anybody. And you can see they're very engaged, and then you can, crop over there, crop that lady out because she's a little out of the thing. So you'd have a square shot over on this side here. You can see with my fingers moving around. Oh, look at this guy. He's engaged and thinking about whatever this guy's talking about. I remember taking that shot. See it? I got the apples in the foreground. Yes, sir, everybody. I moved around a little bit just so I made sure I had those apples in there, because I could have moved around the table a little bit to the left and the apples wouldn't be in the shot. But having the apples in the foreground reminds you that you're in the College of Education. Yeah. Now this is on the outdoor patio of the President's house. They don't call it a mansion. The president's residence. How about that for a bunch of Yeah. See, they're having cocktails, wine, a couple of glasses. I see 4 glasses of wine. Looks like 2 reds and 2 whites. Yeah, and they serve nice wine. I mean, I tasted the white wine. It's really spectacular. If I have to drink white wine, I drink white wine. In Italy, white wine was created. This is probably not a true story, but it is a story, but it may not be, the actual reason code. But I know in Italy, I heard this from Italians, real Italians, like from Italy, that, like Italian coaches, I don't think I've been in an Italian city. I've been in the ancient city of Dubrovnik, Yugoslavia. I've been to London. I've been to, Amsterdam. I've been to several, but, not Italy. I'd like to go to Italy. Anyway, if the Italians, the water systems in ancient Italy or ancient anywhere were not, the water wasn't necessarily clean. In European, I remember I was told, you travel to Europe, don't drink the water. Don't use their ice, because that's frozen water, because it has amoebas in it. And unless you want to sit on the toilet for your entire stay in Europe, going number 2, if you know what I mean, you don't want amoebic dysentery, which is, when you get that AD, amoebic dysentery, that means you are velcroed to the toilet for about a week. So don't drink the water. But you know what? You can drink white wine. So that's why, the people sit out on the, on the side of streets and the various places. They're all sitting there drinking, generally, either beer or white wine. I'm not a big beer guy. I don't know, I just don't like the hops and the bubbly, beer is not my favorite thing. I like Coors beer. That's a nice, pure, light, if it's really cold, or pour it over ice, even better. Yeah, I'll drink that. But I'd rather have a good quality, mild, Sauvignon Blanc. How about that? I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I really don't. But I know I like Sauvignon Blanc. And so I drink white wine if I'm going to drink wine. Yep, there's this lady. She's looking over her notes. There's some kind of a transcript or handouts. That's probably that white 3-ring binder is probably the notebook that's handed out to every one of the participants. Remember when they paid their $2,000 a person? Part of that $2,000 fee was to create what you're looking at, what that lady is showing you, because I'll bet you that is one of those packets in your packet that you got with your 3-day tickets. You got that 3-ring binder. Yep. I think it was a multi-day event. I'm going to say, let's say 2 days. And there's, the president of the university. He was a storyteller. Oh my God. He would tell stories, and he's very animated when he does. See, you can see by his, he's intoxicated with the exuberance of his own verbosity. How about that little terse verse? He's intoxicated with the exuberance of his own verbosity. Yeah. AKA, very animated. What did I see? Did I see a... See, look at that. Camera info. I used a Canon EOS 10D. The focal length was 44 millimeters. That's very normal. It's not telephoto. It's not wide angle. Anywhere 40 millimeters to 50 millimeters is considered a normal lens. Not wide angle, not telephoto. Aperture is f/6. So the background was softly out of focus. 1/25th of a second. So this is available light photography, no flash. The ISO was set at 400. These are all items that you can set into your camera and see the time and day. So 29th day of January 2004 at 1700 hours. So, do the math. So that's 7:36 p.m. and 41 seconds. And then I diddled with it, you see, on February 3rd at 10 p.m. 20 hours, 2000 hours. 10:09 p.m. The picture was taken several days earlier than that. See, I'd prepare all these, I'd image edit these shots and crop them and make sure all the walls are going straight up and down, and have an elbow in the middle of the shot or something. And so 4 days after the event, 5 days after the event, I was image editing. And you can see now I can go through all these pictures, see how all that information changes. Look at that, 1/13th of a second. Talk about slow. f5.6. Now that's 135 millimeters. I was actually going up the arched staircase of the president's mansion, and then shooting down on the crowd that was assembled. You see, there's a glass of wine in this person's hand with the maroon jacket. Yeah, right there. And this gentleman, I think he either flew in from Washington or Tallahassee. He's, one of those, real fancy schmancy people that everyone wanted to talk to. 85 millimeter, well, on the lens, it was actually 135 millimeter lens, f5.6, very slow shutter speed, ISO 400. In the early days, remember this is 20 years ago, I was one of the first, I hate to call myself a professional photographer, but that's what everyone says I was. See, look at this. Image 39, Literacy and Education, 511C JPEG. This is image 706. So 39 Literacy and Education was like a prefix of the picture numbering. You see, and as I flip the pictures, all the information changes. And that's image 706. So you can see this is 718C, which means I cropped it. See, there's this guy talking to the attendees. This was a backdrop that was on one of the walls in the president's mansion, and he's giving a talk. There's a microphone down there, you can see. Yeah. I didn't go over ISO 400 because back in those early days, if you cranked up the ISO, the pictures would be fuzzy. Digital noise is a little more sophisticated. So you get digital noise. So it wouldn't look so nice. You wouldn't be able to see the rims on his glasses and all that. So if you turn that ISO up, if you cranked it up to 1,000, then they get very noisy. So I kept it at 400. I'd rather shoot at 100, but I was already, shooting a 100th of a second, which is very slow. Any movement in his hand's going to be blurred. f5, the lens is almost totally wide open. 127 millimeters in my Apparently it's a zoom lens. There you go. This is a committee meeting. They had breakout sessions, in the afternoon. So I was taking pictures of all. See, this is on 1:30. Wasn't there a picture earlier? See, 1:29. So that's one day. This is the next day. This is January 30th, 10 o'clock in the morning. This is a breakout session. And I modified it on February 2nd at 11:03 p.m. You work whenever you got to do it. I was on a deadline. I had to get all these pictures. The college education was just, they loved it. When I presented these shots to whoever, engaged me, and it was, someone in the bureaucracy, you weren't talking to, the head guy said, okay. Matter of fact, they suggested the amount that they paid me. I think it was $2,500 for 2 or 3 days. It's at least 2 days, right? Because we see this is January 30th at 10 o'clock in the morning. This is January 30th at 10:22. This is one side of the big conference table. This is the other side. Yeah, and you got all kinds of important people here. There you go. And then you got people like January 30th. That's the same breakout conference. Okay, now we're back on the evening of the 29th. Nice portrait of the president of the university and his wife with that kind of hair. Frizzy, whatever you call it. There's the bartender popping the wine cork, at the president's mansion. All right, that's the end of that. That's image number 422, 472. See up on the very top left, you can see the image number changing. You can see all the camera specifications for each shot. One hundredth of a second, but I believe there was flash here because that light is very white and it seems to be coming from the top of my camera. Yep, wide open lens. It was taken on 1:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. This is the next day. Yeah, see image 6. Remember I told you it's 600, 700, 800 pictures? Oh, I think we went up to at least image 709. All right, enough of that. There you go. See, now you can... That's my resume. This is... They're all put together. See, that... And then you can, you can touch on any of the pictures, like this kid right here. You can touch on the picture, and you can see the expando version. And, this is all part of my website. This has been here. This has been published here for 20 years. Can you imagine? And I can go in the back room of this site with a special password. Yeah, and. I can see how many people looked at each picture. How many people looked in the whole thing. This is in my site. Let's go home. There we go. Remember that? Look at this shot. Polo, where the sticks cracked. That makes this very special sound. And there's her name. When those sticks crack together, and I forget what that's called. I was sitting next to a oh boy, where's the image information? Yeah, this little must be the internet connection. See, I have VPN. Virtual Private Network, VPN. I connected that up a couple days ago. I read about VPN and how the purpose in the VPN is a virtual private network. Is that you go through some servers all over the world. Because these, people from all 150 different countries look at images in my website, which has been up for 20 years or so. I've had over 26 million visitors from 150 different countries. Actually, it's a little more than that, but 150 is enough. I mean, it's like 168, but I know it could be 163. I mean, for all kinds of countries, African countries. Anyway, so you have all these. Since this has global access, this website, and it's relatively popular. I mean, 26 million visits. Is not chump change as far as visiting. And Google wants me to put ads on the site because there's so many, and you get paid click thing. And then you trash up the left and the right hand side with things that are flashing and blinking. No, selling toothpaste to condoms. Nope, I don't think so. But see, it's intelligent. The Google ads. Like if you were to show that picture, maybe underneath or on the side, it would advertise someone that makes stirrups or horsey products, or polo products, or polo jerseys, or polo helmets. In other words, it was intelligent advertising based on what's in the picture. And these ads would come up, it'd be a different ad for different pictures. We happen to be looking at polo. Look at that, they're all racing at me. But I'm, 300 yards away on the other end of the field. But they happen to be racing right at me. So, bam. I mean, that's probably a 300 millimeter lens. I had a very nice 300 millimeter f2.8 lens by Canon. It cost $12,000. Look at that. I got you see how it's out of focus in the foreground and the background, but that little ball that they're popping around on a polo field, which looks like a snowball, it's made out of like a polyethylene material, a very dense, extremely dense foam. If you were to cut it in half, it's not like a golf ball. It's the size, a little bit, about the size of a hard ball, in baseball. If I put a hard ball down there, it's probably maybe a little bit bigger, but about the size of a hard ball. This is one of the polo ladies. So you go out after the, with the halftime, so to speak, and these guys are whacking the ball, and they put holes in the, they knock up some of the turf. So at halftime, everybody gets off the stadium, and not everybody, but a lot of people, and between chuckers, they call it, and then you go out there and you put the grass back in the hole. You replace the divots. There's a name for that little ceremony that's performed at halftime. It's really quite nice. I didn't take a lot of pictures of that because it's, it's hard to find a picture that's interesting. You see, here's the ball. Actually, that's not on the ground. That's in the air. And he's getting ready to whack it with his mallet. That's on the ground. And you can see they can reach down. The horses, it's a very special kind of, look at it. He whacked it. Now they're all trying to figure, all the sticks are up. They're all blaming the next guy that they are being fouled. So they raise their stick and scream, because they want a foul called. Look at that. See, he's got his arm up because this guy in the blue shirt fouled him. Look at it. That horse is looking down at that horse. I mean, the horse control. See, now he's trying to figure out how to get over there. Come on, make the turn so I can get to that ball. Yeah. All right, that's an interesting. That should be eliminated. That I got a picture of the hedge in the background, but the polo players are out of focus. Yeah, that's better. That's not so good. That should be eliminated. This is the CV Whitley Cup quarterfinals, championship. There you go. So I really enjoyed shooting the polo. Look at that horse, man. I tell you, they bring, each team brings about 40 horses. And each team has their own stable of horses. So when they, that's a lot of, when you're transporting, horses from Florida to Texas or wherever, that's a lot of vans and, vehicles and, to move 20, 30, 40 horses. Because every few minutes you gotta change horses because they wear out, They're running up and down the field. The guy's sitting in the saddle. Now his shoulders and arms and everything, he's getting fatigued. But not as much as the horses because they're doing the running and the blocking and the punching and the block, they're bouncing off each other. It's a very, it's amazing. These guys have incredible talents. There's a horse in the background there. I don't know what's going on there. But you see, look at that horse is completely off the ground. There's no hoof on the ground right there. And this guy's trying to get to that ball. And the horse is in the air. It looks like the shadow of the horse is right, over the ball. Interesting. There's the butt of a horse. Where's the ball? Yeah, that's the goalpost. So he whacked the ball, but it's not in the shot. No, that's not a good shot. And here you got 3 legs up and 1 leg down, and he's trying to whack that ball. See, that's the same player, same horse. Looks like he's getting ready to whack it right now. You can see the bend in his mallet. Oh, there you go. He's right. Look at it. He's almost perfectly lined up. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, enough of polo. So I wanted to show you. Let's get out of here. Hit the X. Hit the back button. Okay, so see, 1990 to 2024. Where's the visitor counter? It says visitor counter, but where's the count? Is that not working? Let's hit the... Yeah, website counter. Why isn't that working? No, anyway, I'll have to look into that. It was working a little while ago. It's not working now. All right, we're done with this. Anyway, so it's 26,400,000, something like that. And since I just went there, it would count up one, The counter is counting. Now why the HTML, hypertext language, is what that stands for. HTML. Let's go to Real Clear Politics, since we're over here on the internet. So you can go to my website. It's 416 hyphen, oh, not dot, 416 hyphen 1100.com. You go there and you can see the Wilson Picks. It opens up with a big shot of the two mallets wrapping around each other, because they were both trying to get to the same shot, but they locked up their mallets. There's a name for that. Someone tell me what that's called. I should Google search that somehow. Will RFK Jr.'s endorsement swing the election? This is the latest story on August 27. Now I can touch that, and then we'll get the story. And it was written by The Hill. It's a internet publication called The Hill. Will RFK's endorsement swing the election? So you got to pay to go through these advertisements and these pop-ups. I hate to see this one. That's why I don't allow Google stuff. That's Google stuff. It's very annoying because it's very hard to look at what you're trying to look at. During the 2016 campaign, tens of millions of Americans turned away from the two elitist, entrenched political parties toward then New York City businessman Donald Trump. They did so like someone drowning in the turbulent waters who was suddenly thrown, a lifeline. Support for Trump became a survival instinct for millions who viewed him as their last hope. All right, here it comes. Now here's the rest of the story here. Come 2023 and 24, millions of Americans cast their eyes towards Robert F. Kennedy Jr. like Trump. They saw him as a non-politician who could not be cowed or controlled by special interests. They saw Kennedy as a truth teller who would fight for them against the elites of both parties. So, it makes sense that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. could join with Trump. Well, he has. So, then comes, let me go to my this will do that here. Where's that thing I was talking about yesterday? It's coming, I can feel it. Ooh, I think I'm falling too far ahead. Let's go. Let's look. We're looking for the 5 states. I'm usually pretty good at that. No tax on tips. That's in the middle there. Sorry, Bob. There's over $1 million worth of money. We counted it out a couple of days ago. I'm looking for a chart of the 7 swing states. Come on, baby. I'm sure I haven't passed it. It's got to be here somewhere. There's my EKG I took with my fancy-dancy EKG thing. Wow. Phew. What the heck is that? Right Side Publishing. It was kind of a bluish looking doodad. A landscape. Well, That's not it. I'll come back to that if I can't find it. Oh yeah, no, I'm going too far. I missed it. Jeez. I'm sorry, folks. It's taken so long to come up with. All right, let's look at this. No, that's not it. There was no pictures in it. Oh, darn it. All right, let's library. Let's screenshots. Let's do that one. So that's the most recent. I'm going backwards in time. See, now we're only looking five per row. I may be able to spot it a little faster. I'm usually pretty good at picking this stuff up, but I should be right. Should be getting close. Yeah, it was. I took a picture of a TV screen and then zoomed in on it and cropped it and made it square and everything, which you got to do. There's the getting up on a no tax on tip thing. But this is all the images, not just the ones with the heart showing the favorites. Boy, it seems like I passed it already. Again. I know I didn't erase it. I mean, God. Can you imagine if I found it in the deleted files? I'm not going to go to the deleted files. But, oh, crap. Whew. I need to put a red border around it or something so it sticks out a little bit better. Because we can, you're looking with me. But you don't know when to tell me to stop. Okay. Out of left field. It's only within the last couple of days we're talking about. Here's the end of that hurricane. We're too far. Oh, darn it. Pants on fire. There's the science behind the induction heating for a range top. Well, you got some nice music here. Well, I'm kind of leaning on the microphone while I'm going over these stupid pictures. I got so many. I've got 92,000 shots on my... Up! Is this it? It's a chart like that, but my fingers are touching the screen by mistake. Keep your fingers off the screen. August 4th? Nah, it's not 20 days ago. What's the matter with? What's going on here? It's actually not a screenshot. It's a how about recently saved? That's probably a better... Yeah, I'm probably looking at the wrong... it sorts out these galleries. Because there's a picture. It wasn't a screenshot. Because you can't, it used to be you could take you could do a print screen of a TV screen that's being shown on an iPad. But, yeah, this has more stuff. There's some images without the little hearts on it. So, there's the picture of Kennedy. So now we should be getting close to this. The girl coming out of a swimming pool. That's yeah, see, I don't, that's something. This popped up because of Kennedy, so it's right in this, it should be right in here. But I'll be gold darned. It's, anyway. So, the essence of this image, this is the labor statistics, yeah. And here's the Kennedy thing. Planned speech on path forward. Amongst the possibility of him coming on board with the Trump campaign. That is, to me, that's an earth-shaking announcement, in politics. No, I'm not a political anything. And if we go back to real career politics and go back and I'll do this little warm up here. So that's August 27th. That's today. So let's hit polls. So we touch on polls. Producer, make that full screen so people can see it. Remember, this is produced by the three of us, me, myself, and I. So this is the 26th. And look at that. There's no 27. There's no polling done for today. And it's 10:28, so they would have plenty of time to publish it. I think we're in a lull period where they really they're letting these news cycles go around, and you have the latest stories. Zuckerberg today or yesterday admits the White House pressured Facebook to censor conservative stories. Now, isn't that terrible? The White House was bullying, Facebook to stop publishing all these, anti-Biden or anti-Harris stories. Or back then, it was Hillary Clinton and Trump. So it's all about Trump. So if you can't win legitimately just by letting everything, let the chips fall where they do, no, they put out a bunch of political spies to go beat up on the social networks. It got so crazy that Elon Musk spent $44 billion of his own money, some of it borrowed, but he's got billions of dollars worth of Tesla stock, so he could sell a couple of % of his shares and pay off, the loan that he consummated in order to buy Twitter, to buy out all the shareholders of Twitter, which is now called X. And it's still Twitter as far as I'm concerned. We are actually, this is a Simulcast, and Twitter is one of the simulcastees. There's 3 social networks that this is being live broadcast. 1 hour and 33 minutes worth of my yakking away here. I got an early start. So some of you people up in, I have some relatives up there in, Wisconsin and Minnesota. Judy up there in Wisconsin. George up there in Wisconsin. How you doing? I know they listen to this every once in a while. The problem with my little storytelling here on live with my Simulcast, you see the yellow letters going up on the top of the screen from our beautiful Boca Raton downtown location. Headline news, political news, newsworthy topics and events, and oftentimes whatever else comes to mind, because I'm unpredictable. Newsworthy topics, events, and oftentimes whatever else comes to mind. Yep, that's Jimmy. Whoever will listen to me. So if you don't listen to me, I'm in my own little broadcasting booth here on the 8th floor of Royal Palm Place. And I'm reading that Zuckerberg admits the White House pressured it, Facebook, during the last election cycle. And God knows what kind of pressure they're facing today. Judge halts Biden program offering legal status to migrant spouses. Can you imagine? God, that's the problem. You have all these migrants, and they're letting them in here on purpose. So they're hoping they get into the citizenry by some congressional, imagination. But if they win the election and they win the House and they win the Senate, you can guarantee it that there'll be a path to citizenship for all 13, 14, 20 million, however number. They were like 6 million before he opened the back door. Then there were 13 more. So there's about 20 million. Some estimates are higher than that, because you got a certain percentage of these people that are jumping our border are called runaways. They didn't line up and ride in the buses and get recorded as being a migrant, and they set the court dates, which are a joke, because only about 6% of the migrants show up for their court appearances. Oh, where's Jose Jimenez? Where's he? Of course, God knows where Jose is. There's probably 1 million Jose's. Or at least 500,000, don't you think? Yeah, it's like John Smith. There's a whole bunch of them. Well, there's Jose Jimenez. Yep. Harris and Trump squabble over debate rules. Trump said, "Hey, anywhere, any place, just get there." That's what he did with Biden. So Biden set all the rules, and their teams argued about how far apart they'd be, whether they're standing or whether they're sitting. I think the Biden people, back in the Biden days, which is 6 weeks ago, until a form of democracy called the cabal in the back room, a smoke-filled room, as the rumor goes, and they decided, "Hey, Biden, you're out. Harris, you're in." By fiat. No votes. Kamala got no votes. When she ran for president, she got no delegates. 0. Not 3. Not 1. 0. Can you imagine? Disgusting. So, she's our president. She's the Democratic presidential. She's the vice president, yeah, but she never got any votes. She never ran for anything. She never ran in a primary of any sort. She just... Anyway, there's no polls today. How amazing is that? They had a few. Let's go to Rasmussen. I'm looking in the wrong column. There's our Rasmussen. There it is. Let's do that. Let's click on this one because it includes Kennedy. So this is, you can see the Rasmussen at 1,893 samples. MOE is margin of error. I'm reading the captions on the top of the columns. Harris with a D. Now, Real Clear Politics doesn't actually do polling. They assemble all the polls that are done by other people. I don't think they have their own polling because they're not listed in any of these lists. You see, you got the Rasmussen poll. You got the YouGov. CBS News does some polling. Look at that. The sample is 3,200. That's the third line. 3,258 people they called and connected with. This is over from 8/15, 15, 16, 17. That's a 3-day period. So like 1,000 1,000 people a day. Margin error is 2.1. That's a tight margin of error because probably the sample is so big. So of that CBS News, Harris got 49%, Trump got 47%, Kennedy got 2%. Harris is up 2. Now, if all those Kennedy people go to Trump, that's a leap of faith, then it'd be tied, 49-49. So the important column in this whole exercise is the Kennedy column, where it says 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 6, 2, 2. Well, when you average all those up, that's 5%. So 5% of everybody that's called, if you add all those up, 2,000, 3,000, 1,000, 2,000, 1,000, you add all those, 6,000, oh my God. That's the DFP poll with 2 stars. See, so when you have a big sample like that, the margin of error is only 1%. 47, 43, and 5. Harris is up by 4. But Kennedy's got 5. So, it basically swings all these polls. Now, so let's look at the average here. So, the RCP average, 46, 44, Kennedy 5, Harris is up by 2. Well, if 2 of the 5%, Kennedy's got 5%. So if Trump gets 3 of the 5%, and over the next week, 2, the next 60, 70 days, Kennedy's going to be speaking up for Trump and why he and Trump are aligned on so many topics. We don't agree on everything, but we agree on all the important things. Okay? And so if conservatively, if Trump picks up 3 of the 5%, not all of it, just, like 60% of it, and the other 40%, just stay home. Because that'll happen. That's what'll happen. They're not going to vote for Harris because all the Kennedy followers really don't like Harris, and they probably don't like Trump's personality, which is I don't like his personality either, but I don't care because he's a kick-ass CEO, and he'll bring the inflation rate down. He'll decrease the cost of energy, which means the price of all the products will drop because you need energy to create all these products. You need energy, you need diesel fuel in order to harvest all the vegetables, If it's, gasoline is $4 a gallon, that means every truck driver has got to pay $4 a gallon, when he buys 1,000 gallons. That's a lot. It's $4,000. So if he is, it's that's probably too much. If he's got 500 gallons worth of, capacity in his big cylinders of gasoline they carry when they get on the road for long hauling, it's got to be 300, 400, 500 gallons of either gasoline or diesel fuel, depending on what kind of motor they got in the front of the thing. Anyway, the price of energy is reflected in the prices of every goods and service that you deliver into our capitalistic society. So if fuel cost is up, fuel, everything, electricity is up. Our fuel energy cost is like 14 cents a kilowatt hour. It used to be 9. Well, if you divide, 14 by 9, it's a 40% increase. It's more, it's 45% increase in just electricity. Well, you need electricity for everything. It powers your refrigerators, It powers your electric devices, your electric drills, your presses, all products and industry. You know, if electricity is up, everything that they do is up. And, you know, when you look at even like a ruler, like this little, let me get off full screen here. Produces, add me back into the transmission. There you go. So this little ruler thing, you know, if energy is up, then this costs more. When I go to Home Depot to buy one of these things that measures how thick things are. I mean, my finger is, what is that? Is that a half inch thick? It's about a half inch, actually. There you go. Yeah, that's a half inch. Right there, measured. You can see it. Brass, they don't make things like this anymore. This is probably 100-year-old. Or 70, at least 75 years old. I think it was in my grandfather's toolbox. And then my father stamped his name on there with a rubber stamper. You can, let's see, it's very hard to see. W.H. Wilson. Yep. You know, so maybe it was his. But, you know, this is finely machined wood, some kind of wood. And you got a brass end on here. It's machined with it. And the slide fits in there. And it slides very nicely. Got a little thumb thing so you can move it. And then you just bring it down and, you know, I can measure how, you know, the diameter of that plug thing. And see that it is almost exactly a half inch. This right here. Anyway, if the price of energy is up, then the device that polished this brass when this was manufactured costs more for the finishing expense on this very simple brass ruler. You know, the stamps that make this, you know, this is made out of silicone. All this stuff is, you know, a petroleum product. You know, it's as simple as that. So if you bring, you know, the energy price down, everything comes down. Let's get rid of that. We'll get rid of that. Books. I'm handing out constitutions to everybody I know. I bought a whole shipment of pocket-sized United States constitutions because, you know, we live in a federal republic of states. It was originated, you know, in 1770 something. And in my next life, I think I'll be a constitutional attorney and really study, you know, the Constitution and all the amendments and how, you know, our country, you know, works with the Supreme Court. I mean, I understand generally how it all comes together, but the bottom line is, you know, over the last, see, here's the cover and the back of, see, the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence and all the amendments is embraced in that nice little book, which I paid, I think it was this one. No, that's the Federalist Papers. Here's like a cover, you know, and the back with the ISBN number on there, right there. See, ISBN 978-177-4260135. That's a big ISBN number. And then below here, see, 97817. This is the numeric translation of this barcode. Right there. So it's broken up into 781-774 and then 260-135. Yep, that's the ISBN number. That is, so when you scan, that's the number that's in the, like the cash register if you're checking out with this book. And if they didn't have their own sticker, they would just scan that thing. And that would pop up with this book, and, that'll be $9.95. Here's the Pocket Constitution. This is the one I got in my back pocket. I bought a copy that's electronically in iBooks. So you can see the Constitution in iBooks, which I can see on all my devices. There's all the birds. Yeah, I was reading a story about, when I have a bird somewhere in the injected in the side of the story. Like if you have the owl, that's an indication of, contemplation, thoughtfulness. If you got a raven, watch out. Yeah. That's a tough cookie if you got a raven. I'm just looking through these shots to see one more time if I can find that one screen. It really annoys me because I should be able to find that one. And I think when I get to the goal here, I'm too far. Because it seems like this screen came up. Maybe not. It may have been a little bit before the Kennedy story, which that was Friday. And he stood in Glenville, Arizona, which is in the Phoenix SMSA. And he basically joined hands with Trump. And they raised their hands together and they hugged. It was really it's quite a moment, when you get right down to it. And after the election, or actually in the next 2 or 3 weeks, when these companies re-poll everything, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to poll everything again and see what effect this Kennedy, because Kennedy is dropping off, the ballots in at least the 7 swing states. He said, leave me on the ballot. Don't spend any time on the blue states because we're not going to win any, So I'm throwing my support for Trump. So all you people that were supporting me, I'm coming off the ballot in the swing states. So I want you to, please give your consideration to Trump. Because he's not a bad guy. He and I agree on lots of things. That's noteworthy, and that to me is political. and depending on how they do, because they're going to be talking with each other, they're going to be speaking together, several times, but at the same event. He'll come to the rally with Trump, and they're basically, arm in arm, supporting each other, and what they want to do. He's probably going to be offered, I'd put him on the cabinet. I'd put him in my cabinet, absolutely. And I'd say that right now, that he is going to be the secretary and then whatever. And that's as high a position that you can get in the United States government, because the president picks his cabinet, and they don't have to come from government. They can just be private people. Would he pick the same? Let me have something on. I cannot see it. It's here. I just need to see, photos. All photos. All 91,609. You wonder why I can't find it. 91,000. Gee. Gosh, so this is all photos. Why do I have to see so many at a time? Oh boy. I don't know how to search. I don't know what the word search would be. Well, I'm looking at all these shots. Now I see pictures of the garage, which I didn't see. What? Bingo. This is it. What date was this taken? It's right next. Oh gosh, don't lose it. There it is. It's right near this Pants on Fire. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Yeah, okay. It's right near when we went out to dinner and Marilyn had this, whatever this is. I took a picture of it. Look how spectacular that picture is. It looks like a hamburger, but it's not. That's some kind of I don't know what the hell it is. I'll have to ask Marilyn tonight what the heck our dinner was. Look at that. That's the chart I was looking for. Gosh darn it. Whew. I captured that at 2:16. You see that 2:16. What's the date? August 23rd. That's 4 days ago. I know it was not too long ago. Wonder why it's got a little heart there. It should be in the heart albums, meaning favorites. Anyway, this is the one I was looking for. Gosh darn it. Oops, see, it's all the swing states. I'm reverse pinching here. But if you touch too hard, there you go. Now you can see it without going full screen. Arizona, Nevada. It's not Nevada, it's Nevada. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. That is what is called the swing states. There's 7 of them. And these states basically determine who's going to be president. All the states determine who's going to be president. But we know that Harris, the Harris Waltz ticket, is going to win New York. Oops. Remember, we're a federal republic of states. California is going to pick Harris because she's from there. And she'll probably get 75% of the votes. New York will probably get 60% of the votes. Doesn't matter. 50% plus 1, the state votes for Harris. Remember, it's the Electoral College. We're a federal republic of states. Okay? It's kind of like baseball. The team that wins baseball is the team that gets the most home runs. Okay? That's just the way it is. It's not the popular vote. It's the amount of home runs. It's not the number of hits. The team may have gotten, won the game 3-0, even though they only got 1 hit. But he hit it out of the stadium and the bases were loaded. So all of a sudden it's 4-0. So the other team had a whole bunch of hits, but they had no home runs. So guess what? The team with the home runs wins, not the team with the most numbers of hits. So same thing in our national election. The team that gets the most votes state by state, not nationally. So the national poll is a waste of time. It's a complete waste of time because these 7 states are the swing states. And the polling of these 7 states is the only polling that matters. And you can't look at a poll as an absolute. It's just a preference. And they're making phone calls to people that, number one, have landlines. So we don't even have a landline. So we would not be polled. My cell phone here would not be called because there are no directories with cell phone numbers. Public directories that a polling organization can get their hands on, so they figure out who to call. So whatever's in the phone book, whatever that is. We don't even use phone books anymore. We have search engines. So anyway, so polling is getting more and more difficult because people don't have landlines. The same. I mean, I haven't had a landline probably in 7-8 years. You got 4 kids. They all have cell phones. Their children all have cell phones. The parents all have cell phones. Now, some of them have landlines. Very few. We're going pretty much all, electronic. And we're not getting tied down to cables and wires, and they wired the building for telephones. Well, guess what? No one's got any telephones anymore. So the signals, even for if I got a phone right now, it would come through my cable system. I can, for $15 a month. I forget what the number is. It's somewhere between 10 and 20. So let's just say 15. I think if I just called Xfinity and said, all right, I want a phone, they assign a phone number and it comes right through the cable. The signal comes right through my cable. The cell system, I got a phone number here, 416-1100. Area code 561. I've had it for 20 years. And it was a landline, and there was a time where you could, probably including today, but, it was an AT&T landline. I had 1100, I had 1110, 1111, I couldn't get it. It was someone grabbed that one. I had 1110, 1112, 1113, 1114. They were all, like in a group. And one of them I assigned to a fax. And, I forget what I had two lines in the house. One line, one of the numbers was associated with a fax machine. I have an electronic fax now. I pay $100 a year for a company that I can send unlimited faxes. Most of my faxings are sent to my doctors because I don't have the patience to get on the phone and go through the phone and, what's your name and what's your birthday and then you finally get to some nurse assigned to your doctor, and then she's busy, so then it goes to a voicemail. And, who knows if you're going to get called back. But so, that's a hassle. So I just fax the doctors. They all have private faxes, which the nurses get. But, it's paper. It's right in front of them. And they can write a terse verse, 100-word little paragraph, elevator speech, if you will. That's what they call it now. If you were in the elevator, if you had an elevator speech and you're in the elevator with Donald Trump, what would you tell Donald Trump if you were riding in the elevator with him and it's just the two of you, and you could actually look over and say something to him, and he would probably hear you and probably look at you while you're speaking, and then he might answer you. So what would that elevator conversation be? So if you wrote it down, it'd probably be 100 words. That's about as many words as you could get out in an intelligent way while you're riding in the elevator. Maybe a little more. But so if you look at this real clear politics averages of polls, you got the 7 states listed And then you got Trump, Harris, JFK Jr. Excuse me, RFK Jr. I keep doing that. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I guess the nephew. I guess that would be the nephew of President John F. Kennedy. So RFK is the son of JFK's brother. All right, that's the family tree, the brief branch where RFK Jr. came from. Because you had RFK Sr., and RFK Sr. was JFK's brother. That's how that goes. So, that, you talk about Democrat. That is the Democrat of Democrats. That is, and they were both assassinated. JFK was assassinated. RFK Sr. was assassinated. So when Trump almost got assassinated, they called each other. Just say, oh, you crap, So the Secret Service really got a kick in the ass, because for somebody to get 8 shots off in the direction of Trump, but only clipping one shot clipped his ear, just ripped the top part of the ear off. Well, if it hit his head, it would have ripped off the top of his head, or the side of his head, or, it almost burned the side of his head, because that bullet, which weighs, 130 grams, and is traveling at about 3,000 feet per second. It's a fast little sergeant. When it hits, that bullet just, rips and explodes. If you've ever seen target practice with someone, you can go to Hickory 45 or whatever the number is, and you can go on the internet and look up Hickory 40 something, and you can watch videos of him shooting. He has a big outdoor range, his own, his backyard kind of thing, somewhere in Georgia, North Carolina, or somewhere. He's over on the East Coast here somewhere. And he's an old guy, but he test fires all these guns. He doesn't own them all. Gun shops in the area lend him the guns, and he buys the bullets, or someone sponsors the bullets, and he'll shoot 50, 100, 200 rounds of ammunition through handguns, rifles, shotguns, you name it. Well, he's taken AK-47s loaded with this what they call the NATO round, which is I forget the gauge. It's like 5.6, something like that. Gosh. But it's a small round. No, it's bigger than that. I don't want to look it up. But it is 130 grain. Usually copper covered lead round. It was shot all during World War II by all the NATO countries. In fact, they call it the NATO round. I was in a gun shop, a few months ago, and a guy behind me, standing in line buying stuff, and he bought 1,000 rounds, and it said right on there, NATO round, and it was this 5.6, super high, supersonic round, which travels at, I think the muzzle velocity is like 2,900 feet per second. That's fast. That's like, 4,000 miles an hour. If you do the math and all that, you can calculate what is the 3,000 feet per second is how many miles an hour. I can probably do it. Hey Siri, 3,000 feet per second equates to how many miles per hour? Let's see what it says. answer. That's so many meters per second. Here's all the different calculations. I mean, it's nuts. You can just... This is the formulas. I know what the formula is. I want the answer. Let's hide that reader view thing. All right, here. This is great. 3,000. And it's going to be... That is... There we go. Feet per second. Is... I don't think I have that right. Let's do this. Two different calculators. 3,000 equals come on. Miles. Millimeters per minute. Miles per minute. Miles per second. All right, let's see what this says. Convert it. No. That's not, that didn't do it. Nope, that didn't do it. Hey Siri. Anyway, I did the calculation. It's about 4,500 miles per hour. And I did one of these things, and Siri didn't tell me, so heck with them. Let's go back to this. Anyway, so this is it right here. This chart is it. And the question is, if JFK, God darn it, if RFK Jr. Presents himself properly, and Trump and RFK are going to practice in a sense, they're going to meet, they're going to have dinner, they're going to have lunch, they're going to talk with each other and figure out how to present themselves to the public, particularly when they visit any of these swing states. Other than just getting national publicity, it doesn't help them much, to talk, in New York or California or whatever, because they're not running for the popular vote. The only reason to do it in California, for example, is because it would hit all the Western television channels, which are broadcasted, in Arizona and Nevada. So, to me, it'd be better to go to the Arizona border and the Nevada border, hand in hand, both of them, and, be on TV and talk about what's important to them, what they have in common. There's no sense in talking about what they don't agree on, because, forget that. Talk about what they do agree on. That's what running government is all about. And I would go to Arizona and Nevada, their border states, and do that. And see if, Trump and RFK can convince, that 5.8%, it goes from 4% to 5.8%. And everything, 5.9%, 5.0%. So, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia is 4.4, 4.3, and 4.0. So if you average that together, 7 is like 4.2, 4.25. So let's just say 4%. Just round down. So Pennsylvania, 44, 46, and 4. That's about the story. So if you got all the votes swung over to Trump, which is likely not going to happen, that would be 48 to 46. So that would help Trump win Pennsylvania. It would help Trump win North Carolina. It would help Trump win Georgia. So those 3 states, if Trump got half of the RFK support, that's 2%, 46 to 46. That means Pennsylvania's a tie. In North Carolina, it would mean 47-45. He'd win North Carolina and he'd win Georgia. It would help him assure the wins in 2 of those states. Pennsylvania brings him up to a tie. So instead of politicking to get a bigger percentage to see if you can talk some of the Harris voters to come over to Trump, that's like an impossible task. So the better thing to do is when they speak together in rallies, is the motive is to get those RFK voters to go to Trump. That is, every breath should be devoted to getting those RFK voters over to Trump. The Trump people are there. They go to rallies, huge rallies, Harris would have a rally, they'd have to work for it. Their people would have to, really work hard. All you got to do is put up a sign, say, It's 11:15. Trump rally in Pittsburgh. All you have to do is put that up there. What's the time? What's the day? What? Where? And Ben, they'll be online, a day and a half before the rally, trying to get their IDs, everything, checked out, because they check you out. They don't just let you in. You some people wouldn't be allowed in the rally, but they look at you. They got cameras on your faces, and it goes through, and they know everybody that's coming in the door, even for an outdoor rally, because it's all fenced off. You can't jump the fence. They got security all over the place. So, but if you put a sign up in Pennsylvania, let's say, and it hits all the Pennsylvania news channels and this and that, the rally, you can rant and rave about all kinds of things, but the mission is, I want as much of that 4.4% to come over to me as possible. We do not want you, RFK Jr. supporters, to stay home and not vote. The chance of them voting for Harris is 0, probably, because Harris, these RFK people, they know what's going on. They're not uninformed people, because RFK, that's a very specific kind of a person, and all those RFK Jr. supporters know that the Biden-Harris team has been trying to keep RFK off every state ballot like crazy. They dispatched, hundreds of lawyers all over the country, to meet with the legislatures of those states in the attempt to make it so that RFK is not on the ballot. Because we don't want him on the ballot. We want to win the election. We don't want him on the ballot. We don't want any protest voters going out to RFK. What a waste of a vote. Come on, people, wake up. Vote for one or the other. If you like the way things are right now, vote for Harris. If you want things kind of like the way they were 4 years ago, which I do, quite frankly. You know, wouldn't you rather have $1.80 gallon instead of $3.75 or $4 or $5? You know, I mean that's a clue right there, because not only gasoline's up, diesel fuel is up. You know, liquefied natural gas is up. You know, a lot of people have gas lines all over, particularly in Florida, North Carolina, and Georgia. You know, the swing states. Florida's not a swing state. Georgia is. It's there's only 2 points between them, which is, you know, apparently Trump is a little more popular in Georgia than Harris. And RFK's got 4%. So if Trump could get 3 of the 4%, and the 1% stay home because they don't want to vote for either candidate, but I'll bet you the RFK Jr. people can be convinced to come over to Trump, because Trump believes in 75% of everything that I believe in. Okay, it's as simple as that. And we want to be with each other, and we think we're stronger together than apart, which I happen to agree with. And I'll bet you, and if I was Trump, or if I were advising, I'm not Trump, if I was advising Trump, which of course I'm not, I'm just a soul voice here in downtown Boca Raton, partly cloudy. I can see the cloudy symbol on my trusty clock over here. It's 67 degrees in this studio. I was wondering why I was a little 67.6 degrees. Holy mackerel. Relative humidity is 55%. Outside it's 91.4. Inside it's 67.6. My legs are frozen solid. Whoa. Gee. Someone turn off the air conditioner. I got the central system that's on. It's 24 hours a day fan, you know. Instead of the fan going on and off with the air conditioner, I have the fan running all the time. So that way the air filter is constantly filtering the air. You know, because, you know, I'm crowding 80. I'm not there yet, but I am crowding it. Oh, geez. So I'm trying to do everything I can to, you know, get all the little beasties out of the air, you know, so I don't breathe in, you know, what I shouldn't be breathing in. So that's what I'm saying, and I'm sticking to it. So yeah, 67.6 degrees in there, even with all my flabellation of my mouth here. I am intoxicated with the exuberance of my own verbosity. Yes, sir. Nevada. Wisconsin. Oh, boy. RFK Jr.'s got 5% of the Wisconsin vote, you know, from the polling averages over the last couple of weeks. You wonder what this chart would look like, the real clear politics average in the 2024 presidential preferences in the battleground states. I would love to see that graphic in about 2 weeks. With the just like this. Let's see how that chart, or maybe just have the Trump-Harris, because after a couple of weeks, you know, let's see how many of the RFK, polling has split between the two candidates. I don't think a lot of them are going to go to Harris, just because they're Democrat. Because Harris is so left, it's socialism. It's not Democrat Party anymore. It's socialistic. So I have a feeling that Trump will get a certain portion of RFK, a very, very small person. It's a P word, but it's percentage. I must be getting tired. I think a very small, and I'm a polling. Jimmy is the knower of all things. Let's just know that. And I happen to believe that, let's say if we go on the Arizona, let's look at that one. Harris is beating Trump by 1%. That's all it takes. 50% plus 1. And RFK has got almost 6%. So, if Trump gets half of, if he gets 3% of that 5.8, that brings him to 49%. And if Harris gets 1% of that 5.8, so that's, if he gets 3%, that's 47 to 46, and the other 2% stay home. Yeah. Trump wins Arizona. That's what I believe is going to happen. I believe that if you just, in 2-3 weeks from now, which is a month before, 30 days before the election, let's see what these polling numbers look like. That'll be it, October 4th or 5th. Let's see the real clear. We've got a couple of weeks before that, right? October 5th, my God. It's not even September. October, November. Oh, my God. So, in a week or so, it's going to be 60 days and counting. Mail-in voting is already, early voting is already underway in certain states. I don't know when mail-in voting. I haven't gotten a mail-in ballot yet. I think you have to ask for it. Now I can early vote, and they send a sample. I haven't got the sample ballot for the actual election yet. And that's a good thing, because that means, hopefully they haven't printed the ballots yet, because if RFK is not a swing state guy, but Florida is a lean Trump. It's not a hard red. It's pink on the maps. So, if I were Trump, I'd be convincing RFK Jr. to remove himself from the Florida ballot, and hopefully he can do that at this late date. Has Florida printed all the ballots yet? I don't know. They usually wait, because it doesn't take, but a week to print all the ballots. And there are not that many people, only 5 or 10% of the electorate, maybe it's 15% of the electorate. In Florida, you have to ask for the mail-in ballot. They don't just send them out to you, because they don't know if the mailing lists are accurate enough. In the liberal states, they just mail it to everybody. They don't care, And if the ballots end up on the floor of the mail rooms in multi-family buildings, people throw them away because there are 7 different family groups that lived in a particular apartment. Yeah. That's what, so then you have, people picking up the ballots and filling them out as if it's Johnny Jones. Drop it in the mail. Just do a little squiggle on the place where you sign, and they don't do signature verifications. Democrats don't care about that. They just count them. Close enough. Is there an X on the line? Forget handwriting experts whether the signature is, equivalent to what's on record. Now in Florida, they're pretty, careful about that. But in some of these, like in Pennsylvania, they don't care so much. Minnesota, some of these states, you got to watch that early voting or mail-in voting, because ballot harvesting is not legal, where you get, political, campaign people that go around and pick up ballots that aren't used. Some of these states mail them out to everybody. That is a prescription for cheating. And in national any election, thou shalt not cheat. Oops, sorry, it's as simple as that. No cheating allowed. Yep. It's amazing. I just found this chart real quickly, and I didn't see it before. It's all in picking up this classification of what kind of photo it is. I took a picture of a TV screen and then cropped it so it's full screen here without any edges or background. Because, I got a little TV up in this. Oh, we can't see Jimmy anymore. This had me. Yeah. This little TV right here, it's not really connected to anybody right now. Oh, here it is. There you go. See, now I got full screen. So this is a delayed broadcast of Fox News. Now, if they came up with a chart like they did here, and then I took a picture of it with my camera, then I could crop it and then there you go. And I got an image I can use to talk to you about. Here's my doctor telling me, your pathology is okay. So, this is a print screen of, there's Dr. Gene J. Strasser. Yep. He sent me a text. He's a world-renowned plastic surgeon. He'll put your face back together again if you get a terrible accident. He's done it several times. I don't know how many. When a teenager gets in a very serious accident and her whole face is destroyed on the scene, they call Gene Strasser to put it back together again. Anyway, Gene Strasser sent me a text. Your pathology is okay, because he took off a suspicious looking thing on my upper chest here. It's just about healed up. It's just a few days ago. Yesterday. Yesterday, whenever that was done. And today, and then he sends me another text. You don't have to come in if it looks good. Meaning if it's not leaking and it's healing properly and all that stuff. I heal up pretty good. I take a little aspirin every day, but that's not much of a blood thinner. I don't take anything else. Look at that, it's right next to that. Pants on fire. You're a liar, your pants are on fire. Yeah, that's the PolitiFact Truthometer. I couldn't pass up capturing this image. Yeah, look at that. Oh my God. So my chart's right next to liar, pants on fire. Yes, Siri Bob, and it's right next to Dr. Strasser, right next to her hamburger looking thing. Yeah, there you go. This is the magic of the 2024 election. Kennedy coming. Now, if Kennedy went to Harris, oh my God. They embraced each other and all that stuff. I don't think Trump could win the election. Because if you take that, because RFK is a Democrat. His whole family's been Democrat for, 100 years. Or at the Kennedys. JFK's father, Democrat, they're all Democrat. You got a history, in Massachusetts, oh my God. Massachusetts, yeah. So, what, Now, if he went to Harris wouldn't even talk to him. How crazy is that? That tells you how, the woman is just not very smart. The campaign is not very smart. Because RFK Jr. knocked on their door, and they would not even talk on the phone, much less have a meeting. Wouldn't even exchange text messages. Would not speak. That's what RFK said. They wouldn't even talk to me. That gives you an idea of what kind of hardline people these are. That they're so anti-RFK, and they've been fighting in all these state courts trying to keep them off the ballot, and they didn't have the sense to kiss and make up. They're just not smart people. I don't know what else to say. RFK Jr. and Trump, the media actually, I think, instigated this. And, because RFK was saying, what I just told you about the fact that Harris wouldn't even talk to them, wouldn't even talk to their political assistants, much less the main people. The campaigns wouldn't even talk to each other. And the main people said, no, we're not talking here, no way. But RFK knocked on their door first. Sorry, my mouth is overloaded. I can't quite get the speech out as fast as my brain is working. It's mouth overload. Anyway, so then RFK, so the media said, I remember seeing the broadcast. I don't forget what the program was. It was a news show. It was not Fox. It was, CNBC or NBC, or one of those C's. And the broadcaster, a gentleman, said to RFK, well, would you, could you align yourself with Trump? He said, I'd talk to him. Absolutely. So guess what? The next day or the next hour or the next second, the RFK Jr. campaign was talking to the Trump campaign people. And they got enamored with the idea of joining forces. And then that trickled up instead of trickling down. It streamed up to the principals. So Trump finally heard about this possible union that the media actually instigated. I swear I saw it on television. And then, RFK heard about it and said, of course I'd sit down with Trump. And then they did. They had several meetings. And RFK actually went down to Mar-a-Lago and had dinner, with Trump, and they wined and dined each other for, of course, Trump doesn't drink, so it'd be soda water or iced tea, whatever the heck he sips on, apple juice. There's only so much apple juice you can drink, but orange juice, juice. Anyway, so RFK and Trump they've talked about this big time. Well, last Friday night in Glendale, California, at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., they embraced each other publicly. Now, they met under the venue. It was a big stadium. It's huge, packed. Trump and RFK Jr., met in in Trump's jet airplane, maybe. They may have actually had face-to-face chit-chat in Trump's plane. They met on in the tarmac. So that way they wouldn't have to figure out what private place they could, speak, and it wasn't bugged, or, I mean, these political campaigns, they'll do whatever they can to get an edge, on the other. So, but they can meet in his airplane. That's certainly a secure place, and it flies from here to there. Sometimes it's 40,000 feet up. Oh, jeez. So the live feed here is that the lawmakers are all standing on the roof in the assassination. I mean, the Secret Service. I mean, they dropped the ball in such a bad way. It's almost like it's intentional. So if we can't beat them, let's see if we can get someone to shoot them. I mean, that's that, And then I heard, who knows how valuable this is. My mother used to tell me, don't believe 25% of what you read, and don't believe half of what you hear. Yeah. But I heard, there was a news broadcast of some sort. I'm just a retired gentleman up here in 8th floor of the Royal Palm Plaza building. In my little suite here. None of this information is private because I've got a website with my address on it, and in a sense 26 million people can figure out where I am, and what my phone number is public information for 20 years. Yeah, Jimmy's not a private soul. I got about 1,000 friends on Facebook, and maybe half that, and YouTube Live. YouTube Live is coming up. Their broadcast. This is a live simulcast, by the way, with Facebook Live, YouTube Live, which not too long ago didn't even know existed, and Twitter Live. All three of those networks are simultaneously broadcasting this dialogue that I've been blabbing off around here for 2 hours and 42 minutes. My God, it's almost a record length. And no one has dropped off the signal. Now, how good is that? Yeah. And it's broadcasting at 833 kilobytes a second. I have a little meter right here, and it tells me, a total of, 10 gigabytes of information has been going up and down on the internet, talking, recording, simultaneously recording live right now. And I'm telling you, YouTube is really getting some momentum, and I watch the YouTube stuff that they have been listening to, when I'm not talking to you guys. I listen to Elon Musk, and he is a very interesting chap to listen to, and he is doing all kinds of things you don't even know about. I just learned the other day, this week. This is only Tuesday. In the last 3 or 4 days, let's put it that way. It could have been, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, somewhere. It's not a long time ago, not a month ago, not a whole week ago. It's like 4 or 5 days ago. I learned that Trump has, and his teams of engineers, he's got all kinds of people. He has actually created and built. Now it's not him, but he directs it. He watches over it. He's like the conductor of the music. He's like the head chef. He doesn't do all the cooking. But his people built a supersonic jet. With unbelievable laser cannons and missile capabilities. You can launch missiles from this, but this thing travels at like 105,000 feet above the atmosphere, which is 5,000 280 feet in a mile, right? So divide 5,000 into 100. Let's just round down on that. 5,000 into 100 is 20. So it's over. It cruises at high speed 20 miles up. There is no aircraft today that's built commercially, at least known, generally known, to cruise at 105,000 feet. But Trump's super, and it travels, like Mach 7, which is 7 times the speed of sound. The sound, is 1,100 feet per second times, 6. So it's faster than a speeding bullet. Speeding bullet is like Mach 2 or Mach 3. Probably at the fastest, Mach 3. This jet travels twice the speed of a speeding bullet. 3 times the speed of because it's supersonic, which means it travels faster than the speed of sound. Well, it's probably Mach 7 or 8 or something like that. But there's a YouTube video showing graphics of what it looks like. Looks like a big triangle. It's triangular shaped. I mean, triangular shaped. And it can take off and land, and it's got wheels. Oh my God! I don't know how much. How many pounds of, what kind of fuel it takes or whatever. Probably, God knows what the jet engines are fabricated out of as far as the fuel requirements. And it's probably jet fuel number 2, which is like kerosene. It's like it's not quite, it's a little more finely refined than diesel fuel, but it's somewhere between diesel fuel and gasoline. But closer to the, when you have the fractional distillation, the gasoline, methane, ethane, propane, butane, gasoline, all that comes off when you fractionally distill, when you distill petroleum, for example. Crude oil, when you just, I was highly knowledgeable of, helped design some refineries when I was a biochemist. So I knew all about fractional distilling, and they got these big towers, and they literally boil crude oil in the bottom of this chamber, and then the vapors come up through a tube, and at various levels of this tube, from low to high, the lowest form of refined products come off the bottom, like oils and petroleum oils. And then when you get up a little higher, you get the diesel fuels, and then you get a little higher, you get diesel fuel number 2. There's a 1 and a 2, by the way, at least. And then when you get a little higher, you get isooctane, which is gasoline. And anyway, so you get kerosene, diesel fuel number 1, diesel fuel number 2, and a little higher you get isooctane. You get a little higher, you get pentane, butane, all those tanes. That's fractional distillation. Anyway, so fuel is what runs our entire economy. our present runners of the government, meaning Biden-Harris. Biden's supposed to be, he's not even in the White House. He's like in the beach. He's on vacation. Barack Obama people are running the government right now, in addition to Biden's cabinet secretaries. They're the Secretary of State. Well, you got a whole bunch of people under them, and Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Health and Human Services. You got the Secretary of this and the Secretary of that. There's 16 of them. Secretary of Urban and, Secretary of Education. Remember that? Trump says, Secretary of Education, we're going to do away with that. So whoever's going to be the Secretary of Education in my administration, if I get elected, we're going to figure out how to dismantle the federal secretary, the whole education, this big federal bureaucracy. We're going to get rid of it. And the monies, not all the monies, but most of the monies that are funded into the Secretary of Education is going to be distributed back into the states. Let their departments deal with their education. We don't need this federal bureaucracy in Washington burning up the tax dollars. Send the money to the into each state Department of Education so they can better manage their educational situation at their own state than trying to macro manage it from Washington. So he wants to get rid of several, of these big bureaucracies, because each one of these is, houses thousands, tens of thousands of people, and you got to have a salary for them, you got to have to office them, you have an office building, you got the huge expense. And all those people are going to have to find work somewhere else. They'll be reassigned. They'll be detailed somewhere else. Well, the government is always growing, and they always are posting for positions. So, the posting requirement is you have to, before you start looking on the outside, you got to take up the slack with the Department of Education people, because they're on furlough. So you got to look at them first before you can look at anyone else. That's how that works usually. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that for sure, because I'm oversimplifying it here for the sake of our listening audience. Well, the one thing about starting this broadcast early is I've been going at it for 2 hours and 53 minutes, and it's not even noon yet. If you start at 11, man, you're into the afternoon. That's you kind of get. But the morning you get on here a little early. I mean, I got on here at like 9 o'clock sharp, or 8:57 or something. It was good, and all three social networks are in, because I'd get a thing up here that says, "Do you want to continue the broadcast without Twitter?" I mean, it comes, I was having trouble with YouTube Live, and it turns out my title was too long. I had to cut back on the length of the title. Because you have to title it, and it has to have a unique title, so that the next broadcast is different than the prior as far as how you title it. Can't have the same name, Like if it was program number 3, you couldn't use program number 3 again. It would have to be 3.1 or 4 or 2, but it can't be 3. Can't have 2 3s. Has to have a unique name. But the name was a little too long, so that caused me 4 or 5 days worth of having Twitter drop out, because I did something to the name and it made it just a little couple of characters too big. So I shortened it up quite a bit, so that, because I don't want to lose YouTube Live, because YouTube Live is magnificent. And the quality of the, if you if you missed the live feed, you could look at this, for ad infinitum in the future. You could see it tomorrow. Whoops. You could see it tomorrow. You could see it tonight. You could see it 10 years from now. You can do a search, on welcome to Jim Wilson's. I mean, you could search it right from the top of my flyer here. Welcome to Jim Wilson's live simulcast. You could Google it. You could Google that part of the name. And that would find me. And you'd find hundreds of editions of this. Generally, they're about an hour, but look at this. It's 3 hours, for God's sakes. Oh, it's 11:53 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And I have to figure out what I'm going to have for lunch. Some tennis experts are worrying about pickleball. I have never done pickleball. I used to be a fairly decent tennis player. Not professional quality tennis player, but I was, I don't consider myself, like a club, tennis clubs. And, I've played tennis on some very nice tennis courts, grass courts. When I was a kid, that's all you played on, is quality grass courts, at least the kids that I knew. And I grew up in a good neighborhood. I must say that my parents, they had all kinds of help. We had, in our house, I'm embarrassed to say this, but we had a live-in maid. Her name was Mary Gallo. Mary Gallo. And I forget what country she was from. She was Latin. Marvelous lady. 40-something, early 40s, I'd guess. And she lived, my parents provided for her living, and she had a nice place in our house. Her own room, her own bathroom, living quarters, so to speak. I forget about kitchen cooking and all that. I don't recall that part. But she prepared the meals. So she probably prepared a meal for herself when she prepared the meals for all of us. And, 2 parents and 3 kids. And Mary Gallo, something like that. Mary G. So she lived in the house Monday through Saturday. She went home Sunday. I believe Sunday. Either Sunday or Monday. Maybe Monday. I forget, but 6 days a week she was in our house. I have a feeling she was in the house all weekend and probably went home on Mondays. And her husband would come pick her up on Monday or Sunday. And she'd go home and stay home for the whole day and all night. And then the next morning, her husband would drop off Mary to our house, and she'd come in. I think she had her own key, and she lived in our house every day. So, not many people, I don't know what percent of the entire United States, but, I think we were the only family on our street. We had a street and in the North Shore of Long Island, in a community called East Hills. Sounds nice, huh? East of Manhattan, about 45 miles, out my guess. I don't think it was 50 miles. I think it was like somewhere between 40 and 50 miles from the center of Manhattan to East Hills. You could do it on a map. Maybe I'll do it one day. I have a map somewhere. I have electronic maps, right? We have all these. I have a Tesla car, and we got maps in the car. I got maps on my phone. Got maps everywhere. Anyway, so East Hills to Manhattan, 45 miles or so. I'll measure it out on one of my electronic maps, just for the heck of it. You know, across Long Island Sound, looking north, you run right into Connecticut. It's not far away. A friend of mine that lived in Connecticut, New Canaan, Connecticut, he came over to his south shore of Connecticut, which was on the Long Island, you know, the Sound. And he took his boat. We all got on his boat, went south, and went right by East Hills, and I could wave and see the port of Roslyn Harbor, as we rode by in his boat. He slowed down so he could see, and I said, "Hey, Ronco, you see there? That's where Jimmy grew up, right there. He lived, a mile. Couldn't be more than a mile from the port of Roslyn. I could walk. It's walking distance home from the Roslyn Harbor to where we lived. But anyway, I lived in a place that had, I'm embarrassed to say it, but what are you going to do? It's my parents' thing. It's their fortune. They were able to have live-in help. When my sister was born, we added to that staff, and we had 2 people. And one of them was a full-time nurse to manage my sister when she was born. So my mother wouldn't have to diddle with all the chores you have to do when you have a little baby. Now, my mother would feed the little baby, but as the baby grew, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, we had live-in help to take care of young Robin. Young, let's see, what was her name? My sister Debbie. Sorry. Yeah, got a little mixed up with our daughter Robin. Yeah, my sister was Debbie. Deborah. Deborah Ann Wilson was her name. So she was brought up with live-in help. So we had 2 people in the house. One taking care of Debbie and one taking care of everything else. My parents drove their own cars, though. They didn't do the chauffeur thingy. They could have, I imagine, but they both had one. My father drove a 1959 Corvette, and my mother drove, a 1959 Cadillac, which was like a land yacht. My mother caused my father to give me his Corvette in 1960. So he drove it for a year, and then he had to give the keys to me. Unwillingly, but he did it because my mother said, "Bill, give Jimmy the car." Or buy him another one. So he gave me the car keys. He said, "Bill, go get yourself another car, because Jimmy's taking that one to college." So in 62 or whatever. So 59, 63. So in 1963. So he drove his Corvette for 4 years. Then he had to give the car to Jimmy because, 59 to 63. In 1963, I went to college, and I drove to college with the Corvette. Now, how many kids drive to college with a Chevrolet Corvette? 1959 Corvette. Today, that car would be worth $200,000 or $300,000. It's a very valuable, it's a marvelous little car. I really was quite honored to drive such a beautiful instrument. Wow. So, that's pretty nice. My parents. But you know what? I put myself through college. I wasn't, they were the country club kind of people. I was not a country club kind of person. I used to stay home and take things apart in the basement. I had a workshop down there, in a space that was, like a very large master bedroom. Let's say it was 20 by 17. You know, if you were to measure it, I didn't measure it, but it's, it had to be at least, maybe it was 25 by 17. It was a big workshop. I remember my grandfather had all his tools in there, and he was a mechanical engineer, so he handmade a lot of his tools. I have a couple of them. This 100 years later, I have a couple of them with DLB on there for Daniel Lawrence Bayless. That was my grandfather, and I was very attracted to him being a mechanical engineer and me being, a scientist, take-apart young kid. He died when I was 10. It was a sad day in my life when he passed away with, I think, prostate cancer. That was my mother's father, Daniel Lawrence Bayless. Phew. Died when I was 10. So that's 1955. So, and he was 75. So, he looked like a doctor. He's old gentleman, when I knew him, because I knew him in the last 6 years of his life, so to speak. Conscious enough to know who he was when I was 4. So from 4 to 10. So I had 6 years with him, and he dragged me around everywhere because he knew I was interested in everything he had to say. I paid attention to everything he said. So I became, very analytical with his introduction of the way to look at things. So that's how I do. I dissect everything. Verbally, politically. I've taken 1 million pictures. On my website, our website, Marilyn has a bunch of pictures in there too. She's an excellent photographer. And the two of us, we're known to go to, sporting events and take, very good quality pictures. We have the best photographic equipment. And I got in touch with the head of FAU's information department, Katrina McCormick, to let her know that Marilyn, myself, and our 32-year-old son Daniel wants to continue the tradition. So when we slow down and stop, he'll have passes. I'll introduce him to Katrina so that she knows who he is. So when Daniel shows up at these events and we're not there, he can take pictures and call through them and get out the bad ones. Remember a little while ago I showed you a picture of a hedge instead of the polo players. So that hedge shot should have come out, and one day I'll go find that shot again and delete it from the gallery, because I know it was an attractive, well-maintained hedge, but that's a polo shots, of the quarterfinals of the Whitney Classic, sporting event in polo, which is known all over the world. So we've taken some exciting, I took the first, I'm sure it's the first digital shots from a private professional photographer. My daughter, who was working in the government at the time for House of Representatives, Clay Shaw, member Clay Shaw, from the 23rd District or 22nd District in Florida down here, southeast coast. And she got us a tour of the Supreme Court. And Sandra Day O'Connor gave us a private lecture for, the fly-in group. There was about 20 of us, I'd say. And I was permitted to take pictures inside the Supreme Court. Not many people take pictures inside the Supreme Court, much less a private session with Sandra Day O'Connor, who was gracious enough. She got a little she got a little miffed at me because I was taking pictures. I was here and I was there and I was all over the place. And I think it distracted her a little bit because she's used to having just, a quiet bunch of people paying attention to her. I was paying attention to her, but I was taking pictures too. I was taking digital pictures. Every one of them had her in it, and from every angle, lighting. I had one of the very first professional digital cameras that you could buy. The camera cost like $20,000. Jeez, a lot of money for a frickin' camera. But it's all digital. I think I have some of those pictures on this website. I think I have 400,000 pictures on this website. Most of them are pretty good. On the photo, if you go there and you look at the images of like football games, what I used to do is I would pick out what I thought were publisher quality images, and I would really fine tune those. I do digital editing on about 40 or 50 of those, what I thought were the best captures of that gallery of 300 or 400 shots. So I'd look through them, and then I'd bring those 50 to the very front. So that would be the first 50 pictures you'd see. And then after that, it would just be what I consider the non-publisher quality shots, which some publishers may have liked better than I did, but that way you wouldn't have to go through these media people. They don't have time to go through 300 and 400 shots, but they'll look at 50. So I put the 50 up front. So the first 50 you see are probably the best of that series that were taken, just in case you go to that site and look up football, baseball, whatever ball, in FAU sports. I've taken product photography for high-end bars, all kinds of things. Siri, stop. I said something, it got Siri going up in the corner there. Oh, God. Siri, what time is it? It sure is. Thank you. And good night. No problem. Oh, boy. Between, Alexa, what time is it?
Good afternoon, J.L. Wilson. It's 12:10 p.m.
Can you hear that? I got an Alexa up on the top, behind me, so anyone can see the clock from that side of the room. I got a clock over on this side of the room. You see right here. I got a clock down here, which is blocked by the microphone, and you can see in the very corner here, temperature is 67, dropping, 67.3 and dropping. Arrow down. God, you just shut that vent down a little bit. It's pretty chilly in here, but you got some electronic equipment. It keeps all the equipment cool, but I need to wear two shirts. You're not going to sit in here with a jacket on, right? So I literally have two shirts on. Robin got me some real nice Yard House, with a little elephant on the thing. Something with a yard. She picks out marvelous things, and every once in a while I got a care package with a bunch of shirts and pants in it. She knows my sizes. And she sends it to everybody. But I get a good share of stuff. Yeah. Sorry, Bob. Well, this chart I got right there, that's what's going to decide the election of the 2024 election. Those 7 states, and how those polling numbers change over the next 60 days is going to determine the likelihood, because polling doesn't mean the people vote. It just means what they say on the phone. And I don't think they're polling anybody with a cell phone. Now I don't know about how they do their samples. It used to be that they get it out of public phone books, but they may have a different statistical model. And they'll do 416-1100. They'll do 416-1050. Because the cell phone companies, essentially bought blocks of numbers, and then now this 416-1100 was actually a landline that I had put into my cell phone. So the question is, does that 416-1100 number, does it rest in like reverse directories? Could that number be? I'll try to do a reverse directory on 416-1100, 561-416-1100, or maybe you can do it. That riboflavonoid, I just saw a picture. It works because it's buzzing in the ears, when you get older. Now, I've only been taking it for like 2 or 3 days, and I can see it's less. It's much less noisy. It's like someone turned down the background noise that was always in my ears. It's like I had a noisy amplifier. Yeah. This Cardia, I'm looking at the Cardia advertisement here. I tell you, I got one. It's on my cocktail table. I just got a little case for it that's from, what do you call it, Amazon.com. And it determines, I'm going to my, what's today, Thursday at, I think 11:30, I have an appointment with my cardiologist. Dr. Ordonez, who saved my little butt, when I was 70-something and sitting on the couch, 6 o'clock at night, just watching the news. Big screen TV, sitting on a couch in apartment 801. Apartment 801. I'm in 812 right now. I moved from 801 to 812. Can you imagine? It's a pain in the neck moving. Even I moved down the hall, it was a pain in the neck. Because you still got to box everything and move. You got to move it in a box, right? And they only give you a few days to get out and get in the other one. Phew. They gave me 5 days. They normally only give you 2. I said, man, I can't do it in 2. I need 5. Please. I'm only moving down the hallway. I've been in the building for 7 years or 6 years, whatever. I've been in the building 12 years now because I moved out of there. Anyway, so, but when I was in there 6 years ago in 801, I was sitting there watching the news, and all of a sudden my Apple Watch went nuts. The pulse went way up, and I'm sitting on the couch. So it sent me a signal saying, "What's up, Doc?" So it caused me to take notice of my pulse. I said, "God damn it, my pulse is going crazy here." I mean, I was just sitting there watching the news. My alarm went off on my watch. I said, "Hey, check something out here. Something ain't right. Sitting on the couch, your pulse is over 120. Something's wrong." No, it was a lot higher than that. And so then I put, a little blood pressure thing right here. Put it on my arm. I don't have a hose. This thing is like attached to the cup, so you don't actually have a hose anymore. At least with that one. Costs like $60. Takes your blood pressure. Put it on my arm. Took my blood pressure. Said, "Holy crap! Let me do it again." So I did it again. It averaged like, God. Phew. It was like 190 over 110. So it was, and the pulse was like, 110. So there's something wrong. So I did it like 3 times. and it was not good 3 times. So I go, Marilyn's on the outside on the patio, so I clicked my ring on the glass 3 times, and I waved her in. I cracked the door open. I said, Marilyn, we got to go to the hospital right now. So hang up the call. We have to go right now. I'm having a cardiac issue here. I'm not rolling on the floor in pain. I can walk. I'm not calling the ambulance because that's a waste of a half hour. Just get in the car and drive me to... I could drive myself maybe, but why don't you drive me? But, go through red lights. Don't stop. We need to get to the hospital right. I need to get an emergency right now. So, if a cop pulls you over, don't stop. Take me to emergency. You can deal with the police from the parking, from the parking thing in emergency. I mean, so, look both ways and everything, but go through, we stopped at I said, Marilyn, go. Well, it's red. I said, Marilyn, go. You want me to, this is a serious thing. There's no cars in any direction. Just go. So she looked at me like I had 2 heads. I said, Marilyn, go. You better get out of the car and let me drive. I'll drive through it. It was a long light getting onto Glades or off Glades or I forget by now. So she went through the red light. I said, don't worry about police, screw it. There are no other cars. We haven't caused an accident, So then we go, oh jeez, we got into emergency. I got in there and and that's how I got my encounter with Dr. Ordonez, who looked at all my numbers and then he did a angioplasty, where they stick a string, a video, and put it up through your, the main artery that's in your groin area, goes up and crosses around and goes into the heart. He takes pictures, videos and stills of what's going on in there with the circulatory system. He said, yeah, Jimmy, we have, so they put me on heparin and nitroglycerin drip, as they say, nitroglycerin drip. Nitroglycerin dilates all your capillaries, which would immediately drop your blood pressure. And then a heparin drip. So there's an anticoagulant being introduced into your blood system, so you don't get any blood clots with this abrupt activities in your heart. They, did a blood test and this and that, and whenever there's a heart attack kind of a situation, part of your heart muscle, dies actually, and a little piece on the very, the heart goes down to like a little point. They said a little piece of the point of your heart has died away because of the lack of blood, because of blockages in your arteries, and you're going to need, I don't recommend stents, you're going to need bypass surgery, and you'll probably have, a quadruple bypass surgery. And he recommended what his procedure looked at all and sent it to the head of cardiology of the Boca Raton Regional Hospital, and he came up with a solution that was different than what Ordonez recommended. So he was going to do 2 bypasses and then put stents in 2 of the other ones. He said, Jimmy, it's not going to work. You will not survive that operation. I mean, this went back and forth for like 3 days. And Ordonez said, you will not survive that procedure. I said, well, what's the alternative? Got to be an alternative, right? We're not going to do plan A, because plan A, it means I don't survive. So I don't like plan A. What's plan B? He said, well, this is what we should do. It needs to be quadruple. 2 of them are very small gauge bypasses, but it can be done. It's just a little harder to do it. Much harder to do it. And I have found a doctor that's capable of pulling off this kind of a quadruple bypass surgery. And he practices in this hospital, but his main hospital that he works, within is, what do you call it? The Delray Medical Center. So we need to transport you in an ambulance to the Delray Medical Center, which is a 9-mile drive, which was like Mr. Toad's ride. Now I know why they got the Velcro, on the gurneys when they put you in the back of these guys drive like, and the suspension is all, they're bouncing around. I said, holy crap. I said, slow down, because he can hear me from the thing. I said, geez, I have to tighten up my Velcro so I don't end up in the ceiling of this thing. Jeez, what a ride that was. It'd been better just riding in my Toyota, or whatever the hell I was riding in. I think I had a nice Honda Accord. I drove those for quite a few years. A marvelous car. Service needs were just replacing oil filters and oil. Really nothing else. Now I drive a Tesla, and guess what the service is? 0. There's nothing to do. I have a portable pump here. I need to pump up the tires. That's about it. There are 36 pounds. They need to be at 40. So they're about 10% low pressure on the tires, which is fine. It's not going to hurt the tires. But I don't want it to get any lower. Tesla wants them. They're designed to run at 40 psi. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll do it soon. I found the pump. And I got a charged battery over there. 2 charged batteries. It's a DeWalt pump, portable compressor. It goes, 0 to 100 pounds per square inch. I only need 40 psi. And that's what I'll do soon. In the meantime, I'm going to turn it off because now it's 12:30. Jeez. This is a record time, 3 hours and 27 minutes. I really should limit this to no more than 3 hours, but there we go. It's 12:30. Go to lunch. Get your lunch prepared. I'm going to go figure out what I'm going to have for lunch. Am I going to go down to Lemongrass and have a pinto box? It's my favorite lunch. It costs $17. Pinto box. I could do that. I might do that. Just have scallop fried rice, pinto box, and a miso soup. Yes, I'm going to do that. All right, so I hope you have a nice lunch. I know I'm going to have a nice lunch because I'm going to go down to Lemongrass and have a pinto box. Here's the rhubarb. My favorite lunch. I have my iced tea here, which is not iced anymore. Excuse me, it's hot tea. It was made at about 7:30 this morning. It's 12. It's still warm. I love, it's nice warm tea with half and half and one teaspoon of sugar, regular sugar, nothing diet. That's I know. My blood sugar is managed very nicely. I need to get the Abbott Laboratories Freestyle Libre, which is continuous glucose monitoring. My arm has been rested for, like 2 weeks. I run for 2 weeks and then I stop for like a half a week. But I couldn't get, I ran out of, renewals on the prescription, refills. And this is a prescription, why'd I have prescription on, on a measuring device is beyond me, but yeah, that's the way it is so far. They haven't gotten FDA approval. It's really stupid for these measuring devices to be prescription filled. Because a lot of people could be using them, that don't have the time, effort, or whatever. It should be over the counter. It shouldn't be a prescription item. I'll send a text to Trump. If you get elected, Freestyle Libre from Abbott Laboratories should be an over-the-counter item. It shouldn't be a prescription item. What do you think about that, guys? Tell me why not. How about that? That's how I would be. That's how Trump is. He's a tough guy. So, so what? You don't have to like him, his personality. I don't particularly care for his personality, but I'm not having him over for dinner. I want him to kick ass in the government, get the cost down, get inflation down, get the price of gasoline down, drill, baby, drill, get the pipeline open, and build the wall. That's it. 10 things. If you do 50 things, marvelous, but do those 10. Or 7, whatever I just said. That'll make a big difference in all our lives if you just do those things. Oh, and the last thing is have the biggest deportation. Have all the local law enforcement people all over the country tag, incarcerate, and we will have deportations from principal cities all over the United States, getting rid of these people that jumped into our border. And we can't afford to have all these people in the country. We cannot feed in a hospital. They get hospital treatment better than anybody in the country. And they pay nothing. Well, guess who pays? The U.S. government pays, and then we pay the U.S. government because it comes out of our tax dollars. Or they further explode the deficit. You can't, our current president says we're going to forgive the debt from those that went to, junior colleges and all that. All those student loans, we're going to forgive them. Well, there's no, I'm not an accountant, but there's no operation for forgive. There's no general ledger account for that. Yeah. You have a due to and a due from. Well, if you're going to take all that debt, you're going to have to buy it out of the institutions with taxpayer dollars. That's how you just don't erase it, because you have a lender that lend that money. That lender expects to get repaid either from the student or someone else. So if you're going to eliminate that debt from the student, you got to write a check from the U.S. Treasury to do it, and the U.S. Treasury is reimbursed by the taxpayer making tax contributions. That's how it works. There ain't no forgive. What's that all about? There's no accounting term forgive. And the U.S. government didn't make the loans. They essentially guaranteed the loans. That was made to all these students. I had one of those student loans. It was with Wachovia Bank, and the U.S. government guaranteed it, and that gave me a real good rate because the government was a guarantor, so to speak. There's probably a different term for that, but it was very much the same as if I guaranteed the loan for my son. That kind of thing. Well, if now you're going to forgive that debt to these 30 million people that have loans to this bank, that bank, and guaranteed by the U.S. government, they expect to get repaid. You don't say, oh, Mr. Banker, just erase that from your books. No. You're going to have to write a check to pay that loan off, and now the loan is essentially owned by the U.S. government. Now, if you want to, eliminate the debt, eliminate the borrower, you can take the borrower off the hook. Just send him a release, and then the debt is owned by the U.S. government. And if you want to, put it in a trash can, you can do that. And then that money is charged off. You can charge it off if you want to. But it goes in the charge-off file, which goes against our deficit. It's not eliminated. There's no... you have to buy it out from the institution that lent the money, because the U.S. government actually didn't lend the money. And even if it did, then it would be on the account of the U.S. government. And if you're going to release the borrower, then fine, the borrower is released, and the debt then goes into you know, the charge-off category, which is a bucket. Yeah, just like there's a bucket for electricity, a bucket for, office expense. Goes in a bucket. It's the charge-off bucket. And you got, $5 billion in the charge-off bucket. So the financial institutions that lent the money, they don't forgive it. There's no forgive. There's no accounting term called forgive. Oh boy. All right. 3 hours and 35 minutes and counting. No, we're not counting anymore. We're done. So you watch that. You pay attention to that chart right there, because that's the magic. So that's just a few days ago. Look at that. That came on the 24th. Saturday. Look at that. Just Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. All right, the 24th. Because I want to find that chart again. Look at that. Now it's a good, but it's the 24th. There it is, right there, right next to Pants on Fire. Whew. Liar, liar, pants on fire. There we go. Look at all those gasless, gas LOL, no gas. These are license plate tags. Custom. Because this lady's got an electric plug in her hand, and this guy's got a gasoline nozzle. Yeah. Oops. There we go. I just got a political call that was rejected. Here's one more little analysis, and now we'll do that tomorrow. All right, listen. You all have a nice day, and I think I'm gonna go down to Lemongrass and have a little bite. I'll bring my little iPad with me because I'm going by myself. My little iPad, my phone. I'll put this little guy in my pocket. This Siri Bob. Because that's got a credit card in there and my driver's license. In case I fall down dead, they'll know who I am. I ain't falling down dead, folks. Because you're gonna hear from me tomorrow. And I'm gonna wish you have a very nice lunch and the rest of the day.